So a very different video this week, but please indulge me because I've written a book. So before we get into the nuts and bolts of it, let me play you the trailer that my publishing company has produced for me.
Some lives begin in silence, on streets where survival comes first. But sometimes, an ordinary life is only the beginning. In a single moment, everything changed. A collision that should have ended his life did something else entirely. No scars, no limits. A body that refuses to break, and a truth impossible to understand. Searching for answers, he pushed himself further than anyone else could. Stronger, faster, unstoppable. But power without purpose leads to a single question. Where do you belong? In a war that tested every limit, he stepped forward, again and again and again. To some, he was just a soldier. To others, he became something more. A symbol, a story, a legend. But even the strongest carry what they cannot escape, because surviving doesn't mean you're free. And sometimes, the greatest battle is not against an enemy, but within yourself. This is not just a story of war. It's a story of purpose, of sacrifice, and of what it truly means to live when you cannot die. The Immortal Soldier, a powerful journey of resilience, identity, and the cost of immortality. Available on Amazon.
So my book is called The Immortal Soldier. And before we get into the nuts and bolts of how I've ended up writing this book, because it was something that I never thought I'd do, I never planned to do. It was just an idea that came into my head. And then before I know what's happened, we have a book that's been published all over the world. Well, I hope that trailer has whetted your appetite. So how did this happen? Well, simply, I've always been a fan of films like Jason Bourne, Jack Reacher, that kind of genre. I've always enjoyed it. And I was literally watching the second Jack Reacher film for probably about the 10th time. And one of my favourite films from back in the 80s was a film called Highlander, which is about a Highlander from Scotland who is immortal and lives through decades. And then all of a sudden the idea came into my head, what if a Jack Reacher, Jason Bourne type character was immortal? What would that character look like? And I just immediately thought, I think that's a pretty cool idea. So I started just writing some, because my laptop was next to me while I was having this thought. So I picked my laptop up, I just started to make some notes, and then I just started to write the first chapter. So as you'll see from the book's cover, you know, the character is from Philadelphia. Why is that? Well, my brother lives in Philadelphia. I just thought, yeah, Philadelphia is a cool city, someone who's been brought up with a harsh background. You know, that seems to be a familiar theme in previous stories, like the Rocky films, for example. So I was like, right, yeah, he'll come from Philadelphia. And then I thought, okay, so he realizes that I don't want to give too much of the plot away here, but you know, he realizes by chance that he's immortal, he can't be killed, and then he takes on some military training. So then I was thinking, okay, well, we need to send him off to fight some noble cause, and then the Ukraine war came on the TV. I was like, right, okay, well, we'll send him to the Ukraine war. You know, when I presented this to the book publishing company, they were giving me great credit in saying, you've been very clever here. You've took a fantasy character and put him into a real life situation. I'd love to say that I was thinking of that at the time. It was just purely, it was on the TV when I had the thought, and I thought, right, we'll send him off to the Ukraine war. So then off he goes, and you know, again, I don't want to give too much of the plot away here, because ideally, if you're interested in these types of films and these types of books, I would love your support to go and purchase the paperback or the hardback, or download the Kindle, or download the audiobook, because it's all available on all Amazon platforms. All of the links are in the description. But yeah, he goes on a very interesting journey. And I was I didn't want Ethan Shaw, who's the main character, I didn't want him to be some kind of invincible figure. I wanted him to be vulnerable, which is not an easy thing to do when you can't be killed. But I think that I've achieved that quite well in the book. And of course, there's a subplot where the Russians start to hear these whispers of this unkillable soldier, and then the KGB wondering whether to try and go and locate this. But I mean, I just think it's a very cool story. So this is going to be quite a quick video. If this sort of thing is your bag and you like a good story, then, you know, I'd be very appreciative of your support or to spread the word. I think it's a very cool story. I'm very proud of it. And just one thing as well is, because a lot of people ask me this question, did I use AI to write this book? So no, I didn't. I wrote the book out in full in my own writing, and then I copied and pasted each chapter into AI and just asked it to check the punctuation and improve the flow if it was possible. So I suppose the answer is yes, I did use AI to give me the finished article, but I didn't use AI to produce any of the storyline whatsoever. And I'm no English expert, so I needed that extra bit of help to get this to a level where it could be published. But I'm very proud of it. It's something I never thought I'd do. The publishing company has already asked me to start working on a sequel, which I've already started. So yeah, please take a look if you like it. I'd love your support. And then if you do happen to go and download it, buy it, read it, whatever, then please get in the comments. I'd love to hear about what you think of it. Okay, I guarantee the next video will be a golf related video, and that'll be coming next week. So as I always say, I will see you in the next video.